The Dallas Cowboys are missing one piece that I think makes this team super dangerous next season and could potentially see them make a deep playoff run. Now listen, I've been a Cowboys fan for as long as I can remember. The Cowboys have caused me a lot of pain. There have been some good moments, but mostly pain. So for the first time in what feels like forever, they're going for it. They traded for a guy I think is still a top 10 corner to pair with Trayvon Diggs, who I also believe to be a top 10 corner and played like a top 5 one last year. They added Brandon Cooks, a true number 2 receiver, to pair with CeeDee Lamb, who had his breakout campaign in 2022. They're bringing back Tony Pollard, who is perfectly capable of breaking the game open at any moment. The defense was one of the league's better units, and it added and retained talent. The offense seems to have shored up its biggest weakness last year, the wide receiver core, and for the most part, the offensive line is still intact. But there's still a position I would like to see the Cowboys fill that would make this team even more of a threat in the NFC. So let's get into the video. The Dallas Cowboys decided to not re-sign tight end Dalton Schultz this offseason, and he found a new home in Houston, Texas. The contract was a 1-year deal worth up to $9 million, which to me is shocking considering he just played on the franchise tag last year for more than that. But the injuries and lack of production without Dak likely gave him little to no market. But the most shocking thing for me is that the Cowboys decided not to match that deal, even on a contract that I think was pretty cheap for a guy that Dallas really seemed to like. So that got me thinking two things. Number one, Dallas likes the duo of Jake Ferguson and Peyton Hendershot and believe they can get the job done this season. Or number two, and one that I think is going to be very apparent in the first couple rounds of the NFL draft, they want to take a tight end early. And when I first thought about this, I wasn't sure if I liked the idea, but I think I'm coming around on it. I think if Dallas adds a legitimate tight end that can stretch the field and be a respectable blocker, it can take this offense to new heights, especially with Lamb and Cooks lined up on the outside. We saw flashes from Jake Ferguson last season, but nothing tells us that he is going to be the next great tight end in Dallas. I wasn't originally on board with taking a tight end in the first round, but the Cowboys have filled very necessary holes in their roster, and now it seems like that might be the best option. So I'm going to give you all a name that I like, but before I do, please drop a like on this video and subscribe if you're loving this offseason content. I've been posting as much as I possibly can. Now, let's continue. The one player that I think can realistically make this Cowboys team an even bigger threat is Utah tight end Dalton Kincaid. One thing the Cowboys' young tight ends did well last season was block. Ferguson and Hendershot blocked their asses off the entire season and sprinkled in some pass catching ability here and there. But Kincaid brings a completely different set of skills to the table. Let's get this out of the way first. Kincaid is not a good blocker. He can get in the way, pester defensive ends, but outside of that, he's going to need a little bit of time and an NFL weight room to get the necessary strength to block at the pro level. But one thing Kincaid does very, very well, and a reason I have him so high on my draft board, is his ability to catch the ball and make plays after the ball is in his hands. Kincaid is super athletic. He has an unbelievable ability to catch the ball outside the framework of his body. He plays the ball well above the rim, meaning if the quarterback puts it up, Kincaid's going to bring it down. That athleticism not only allows him to make insane catches, but he's a solid route runner that has the speed to be a real threat down the middle of the field. He would be an instant contributor to this young tight end room. With the departure of Schultz, that leaves the Cowboys with Jake Ferguson, Peyton Hendershot, and Sean McEwen. But Kincaid would bring an upgrade to that group's overall pass catching immediately. While I see myself as one of the biggest Jake Ferguson believers out there, Kincaid could be an insane weapon in this offense and bring something we never saw from Dalton Schultz, and that is a down the field threat in the seam. I would consider Schultz a sneaky athletic tight end. He was the right amount of athlete. Kincaid's athleticism pops off the screen, and he could be the missing piece to a really dominant Cowboys offense. Now go check out this video where I discuss Brandon Cooks and what he's going to bring to the Cowboys in 2023. I'll see you all over there.